Now we're going to keep the ball rolling with our last speaker of this session, Lee Junk. Lee is the Managing Director of Karora Resources, having recently joined the company in March of this year. He's a mining engineer and a mineral economist with over 30 years of operational and executive management experience in Australian mining companies. Prior to joining Karora, Lee was the Managing Director of Dacian Gold and Dore Minerals. He was also the co-founder of Don Gale Resources, a private company that purchased and recommissioned several nickel mines around Kambalda in the early 2000s. And I'll pass it off to you, Lee.
Thanks very much, Katie. Good day, everyone. It's great to be here at Diggers. My first time presenting the Karora story, and it's especially great to be back in Kambalda. It's feeling rather nostalgic. Kambalda changed my life, and Ian and I sold our nickel company to a Canadian company, and then some 17 years later a Canadian listed company has asked me to be MD and come back to Kambalda again, and it feels like it's come a bit of a full circle, so it's really nice to be back. Simply put, our business revolves around two operations, Beta Hunt in Kambalda and Higginsville, that stretches from Kambalda all the way down past Norseman. We've got two processing plants, Higginsville 1.6 million tonnes per annum, and the Lakewood Mill in Kalgoorlie about 1 million tonnes per annum. We're expanding that to 1.2 at the moment. We've got two commodities, gold and nickel, and we're producing or ramping up to produce 200,000 ounces of gold a year plus nickel. We've got a really good team, and although we're listed in Toronto, our operations are right here in the goldfields. We've got a self-funded growth plan to achieve our 200,000 ounces a year. Predominantly revolves around ramping up our production at Beta Hunt to 2 million tonnes a year. And that does surprise a lot of people. That's a big mine. It's a big underground mine, 2 million tonnes a year, so not many people are aware of just the activity we're doing there, and the team's done a great job in ramping it up, and we're about 3/4 of the way to our target of 2 million tonnes at the moment. We're also mining nickel at Beta Hunt, and it's predominantly been a nickel mine most of its life and produced between 3,000 to 5,000 nickel tonnes a year, and most of our focus has been ramping up our gold production, and we've just put a dedicated nickel team to ramp up our nickel production. And if we can achieve those historic levels, then we could get a credit on our all-in sustaining cost between $200 and $300 an ounce, so that'd be pretty significant. We've got open pit and underground operations at Higginsville, and the team's doing a great job there executing that plan, and that's really important to our overall production profile. ESG is really important to us at Karora. The team have done a great job over the last couple of years. We've achieved carbon neutrality in 21 and 22, and we're just about to release our ESG report for 2023, outlining our emission reduction targets. So the pleasing thing is we've got some plans in place that go a long way to achieving those. Karora's been a consistent deliverer of production over its time. You can have a look. For most of the time, it's been delivering about 25,000 ounces a quarter after quarter. And you can see the impact of the Lakewood Mill over the last 4 quarters. Production's jumped up to about 40,000 ounces a quarter. We're on calendar year at Karora. So our guidance is 145,000 to 160,000 ounces this year, up from 134,000 last year, and we've done just over 80,000 already for the first half, so we're looking pretty good to deliver that. Our all-in sustaining cost guidance is US $1,100 to $1,250. So in Aussie terms, that's about 1,570 to 1,785, and we're sitting about right in the middle of that at the moment. We've got total resources of about 4 million ounces, and we've got an 8-year mine plan at the moment that we're just ramping up and just getting going. We've got a truckload of projects in our production profile, in our pipeline. We've got gold at Beta Hunt, nickel at Beta Hunt, and gold at Higginsville. So we've got a great exploration team and tech services team that are getting those through to production. This is us at Beta Hunt. It's a great spot to be mining. We're on the Kambalda Dome to be mining nickel. It's been mining for 50 years and been a world-class nickel province. So we're mining nickel on the Kambalda Dome without, it's high grade, low impurities. And for gold mining, we're sitting right in the middle of St Ives. And just on that page, there's about 15 million ounces within a stone's throw from where we're producing. We're the first company to have the gold and the nickel rights at Beta Hunt, which is why we can produce both, that no one else has been able to do that. So there's no better address for us, and if you have a look at that plan, there's a huge gap in drilling ahead of us. All our mineralisation's heading towards the south there, and there's a huge gap ahead of us, so we're pretty excited about what's ahead of us. We mine gold in only two areas underground at Beta Hunt, Western Flanks and A Zone. Western Flanks is a 1.5 million ounce ore body and growing, and we've got extensions all over the place. There's in-mine exploration upside here that I've never seen. So we've got extensions to the north, Western Flanks and A Zone. We've got parallel offsets at Fletcher, which is a Western Flanks analogue, which we'll go into in a minute, but it looks like a real game changer for us. South of the Alpha Island Fault, they present as parallel offsets there. We've got Cowsill, Larkin and Mason. We've got a small first up resource on Larkin, about 200,000 ounces, but we're still drilling there, and we've had some great high grade intercepts. And then nickel mining, we mine over East Alpha. We've got extensions to the north and south over there. The 50C nickel trough, which is just after the Gamma fault. We have it mined past there, and the nickel channel just keep going past that Gamma fault. This is the interaction between gold and nickel. I think this is fascinating. There's a thesis right here on this page. The Kambalda nickel mineralisation is stock standard for the Kambalda Dome. It sits in the contact between the ultramafic and the basalt, and the gold sits underneath in big shear zones that has acted for the fluid pathways for the gold to come up from underneath at a later stage. Just on this, this is the Larkin discovery of gold. They were drilling for nickel in the 30C trough from the access, and they hit all the nickel hits as expected, but halfway up, all the holes ran into great gold intercepts as well. So they sampled the wall of the access going down, and it came back at 15 metres of 5 grams along the side of the access. So that was really the start of Larkin, and as I said, there's about 200,000 ounce resource on that now. But there's numerous stories of interaction between the gold and the nickel here, but pretty fascinating, and we're mining both. This is in long section. You can get a bit of a view of how big the Western Flanks is at the moment. We're ramping up to 2 million tonnes, as I said, and to facilitate that, we've put a lot of capital into our growth plan here. We've just completed a second decline that'll enable us to really get that production up. All our trucks will go down one decline and up the other. We've also put in 3 new raise bores. We've done 2 out of the 3. We'll finish the third one in this calendar year. So that'll help us going forward to keep this production rate up. We've got all our people in place, and the last bit of the puzzle is getting all our equipment. We're owner mining at Beta Hunt, so we buy all our own equipment, and we've taken delivery of probably 8 or 9 new big bits of gear over the last 3 or 4 quarters. And if anyone was walking into the front of the marquee today and looking down at their phone, they would have bumped straight into one of our trucks, which will be taken out to Beta Hunt on Thursday, so I'll be keen to get that underground as well. And Westrac have been fantastic in delivering all our gear on time. This is a section just looking at Western Flanks and A Zone. They sit underneath the nickel troughs above, and Western Flanks looks like it's getting better at grades at depth, and you can see the Fletcher Discovery over on the left-hand side there. Interesting, it sits under an offset in the ultramafic as well. It looks just like the top of A Zone and Western Flank, so we haven't been exploring for nickel there yet, but WMC drilled a few big, 1 kilometre apart lines across the top of there, looking for that the nickel channel there, and they got a few sniffs, so we can follow that up. But it looks like a real good place to be looking for nickel. So in plan view, this is our new Fletcher Discovery. Sits right beside our Western Flanks ore body there. We drilled from the bottom of Larkin coming through the fault. We had some great intercepts, 26 metres at 6.5 and 7 metres at 46 grams. So overall, that whole intercept bulked out to about 70 metres long at about 3.2 grams. So it was a cracker of an intercept right up against that Alpha Island fault. And our plan there is to explore, keep drilling there for probably the bottom 500 or 600 metres, and then hand that over to the mining team, and then keep progressively drilling that out to the north. There's about 2 kilometres of strike there to do, so we'll take it off in chunks. We're just announcing today some more results there. We've just had 52 metres at 2.8, so it's really big, wide, so it really should deliver well into our big bulk ton operation. This is our nickel exploration upside at Beta Hunt. We've got plenty of upside with where the operation's been up to now, and the 50C trend after the Gamma fault. It's about 3 kilometres to our southern boundary, and the nickel's been mined for about 4 kilometres down to that point. So we're really only halfway there, and it's a fairly shallow plunge. So by the time we get down to our southern boundary, we'll still only be about 900 metres deep, so we shouldn't have any trouble mining that. And we haven't got much or any drilling down there. The only target we've got is a old WMC hole, a historic hole from surface, 9.5 metres, 11.5% nickel, so it's a pretty good indication that channel continues. Over at Higginsville, we've got our processing plant, and we're mining underground and open pit, and the team's doing a really good job delivering that. They're smaller projects, but really important to our production profile. The big upside at Higginsville is the exploration. We've got nearly 2,000 square kilometres of the Norseman Molina belt that is one of the most productive and prospective greenstone belts in the world, and we sit on the bottom end of the St Ives gold system there, and we've got the Boulder Lefroy fault and the Zuleika shear, which come down all the way from the Golden Mile, probably produced over 100 million ounces of gold, and we've got both of them coming all the way down through our land package. So the opportunity for big 1 million ounce plus discoveries is really big. So our exploration team's doing a really good job there. 2/3 of our budget's been spent underground at Beta Hunt, so they've had limited funding to date, but they're doing a really good job working these projects up, and I'm looking forward to really giving that a big shake going forward. Just to finish off, a snapshot, we've got a market cap about 750 million Canadian. We're well covered by analysts. We're making really good cash. We've got a good team of people and plenty of upside, and a really good base for growth, and I'm looking forward to delivering that. So thanks very much.
Thank you, Lee, and thank you everyone for attending. That concludes our morning session, and we'll take a break for lunch.